how do you came to Germany first, and why are you living in Berlin?
Okay, it's a good question. But I really live in Germany just purely by chance, actually. I was living in Prague before this, and I thought I was going to move to Paris. I was planning to move to Paris from Prague, and then I came to Berlin for a weekend with my husband, and we just loved Berlin so much that on the train home we just said, let's just move to Berlin. So we did. And then we did go and live in Edinburgh for a year in Scotland, and we didn't know if we would come back, but that year in Edinburgh really convinced us, yeah, we really like Berlin, we want to go back to Berlin. So that's how that's a good thing about being a writer. You can be spontaneous with your life. You can live anywhere and do it wherever, so it's great.
So, do you speak German?
Not very well, ein bisschen. Not as well as all of you speak English, that's for sure. So yeah, I'm very ashamed to admit it, but I need to work harder on my German.
Why did you actually start writing?
Why did I start writing? Well, I think I've just pretty much written I've really written for as long as I can remember. Ever since I was really small and started being able to write, just be able to put letters together and make words, I started writing stories. I can remember when I was about 6, writing stories about the zoo and things like this, and then I just kept on writing. So I was writing at school in England. You do a fair bit of creative writing in school, so I was doing creative writing then, but I was quite private about it, and I didn't really tell many people that I really liked writing as much as I did, because I was doing a lot of art and people thought I would do art. But then I went to study literature at university, and then I decided I really liked to write, and luckily an editor was interested in my stories, and so I started to write professionally then.
Have you any advice for people who want to be a writer as well and don't know how to start it?
Of course. Well, one really good piece of advice, and it's something all of you can do, is just to read lots. It's really, really important to read. You learn so much from reading. And as I say, I studied literature, and I think that was a fantastic way of learning how to write, because I was seeing how so many different authors did it, and I learned a lot like that. The other thing is just to write, to actually do it big. Get yourself writing, find projects that you want to do. If you have a friend that you can do it with, that's also really great. I had a good friend at university, and we used to write stories for each other and then meet up together, read them and then meet together and talk about them, and that was really helpful. So those are all good ways to get started, and then just keep on with it and keep trying new things and have fun with it.
Some tips and tricks maybe for beginners,
Yeah.
how to get your imagination on the paper.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what we've been talking about in the workshops, haven't we? That it's really hard when you sit down with a blank piece of paper and where do I start? And that's where, when I do the workshops, I always have something that is a prompt. So something that will start the ball rolling. And as I've said to a lot of you students in the workshops, you might then totally forget about it as you keep writing. It's just something to get you going. So in the workshops we've been using things like, let me see, we were using fairy tales. I did secrets with another group, used buttons with another group, so we put a button and started imagining from that, animals with another group. So in each case, just, you can find inspiration anywhere, just look around yourself. And start with something small, and then start asking yourself questions about that thing. And that's a really good way to get your thoughts flowing, is if you ask questions. So even, I could be sitting here and a cup of tea on the table, I'd ask myself, well, who does this cup of tea belong to? And I think, well, maybe this cup of tea belongs to somebody who was sitting here before, and who are they, and what's their story? And, you just ask yourself questions like that, and that's a good way to get ideas flowing, and then you can start moving away from that and actually writing something.
Yeah. And you said that you started to write stories all the time. for beginning. So you like short stories better than books?
I wouldn't say entirely. Actually, when I started writing short stories, it was really just because they were short. And had read a lot more novels, longer books, than I had short stories. I hadn't read a lot of short stories, but they were just easier to manage. I mean, it's easier to sit down and say, okay, I'm going to write a short story now, than it is to say I'm going to sit down and write a novel, So that was why I started doing it. But then, towards the end of finishing my first book, I started reading a lot of short story authors because I felt like I should actually know what the other authors are doing with it. And at that point, I got really into short stories. I got really, really passionate about short stories. And when you read some really great short story authors, you start to get to the point where you then read a novel and you think, oh my God, someone else can do this in 10 pages and you've taken 300. And there's something really beautiful about the compactness and the focus you get in a short story, which is quite different from a novel. But I will be writing a novel in the future, so that will be an interesting experience as well, and I'll report back afterwards how it is.
Yeah, that would be great.